Hello everyone, this is Teacher Shaddad Al-Dumaini. Welcome again. Today we are gonna solve some questions about complex numbers. So let us get started. Question number one, or this question says, if x and y belongs to R and x negative 1 plus I equals 2 plus y multiplied by I, then x plus y equals 3, true or false? So what we are gonna do in this problem? First of all, he gives us this. X negative 1 plus I equals 2 plus y multiplied by z, and he wants us to find the value of x and the value of y, then add them to see if the result of them equals 3 or not. So because he gives us x negative 1 plus I equals 2 plus yi. Okay, everyone is concentrating with me or not? So now what I'm gonna do here is put the real terms equal the real terms. From where? From the left side. This is the real terms. X negative 1 equal the real terms from the right side, which is just 2 here. Okay, now solve it as equation. I want the value of x here, so by taking negative 1 to the right side with different sign, so it will be x equals 2 here, still out of solve, and here it will be positive 1, so x equals 3. This is the value of x. Now I want the value of y here. The same thing, by putting the imaginary part from the left side and the imaginary part from the right side. This is the imaginary part without putting or taking I. Just take the number, the coefficient of I, which is here 1, equal, and here where's the imaginary part? This is the imaginary part without taking I here. I want just y, so y equals 1. But here he wants us to find x plus y, so easy. I know that x here is 3 and y here is 1, so 3 plus 1 equals 4. So the result here must be false. Easy, huh? The next question. This question says if z, which is complex number, equals negative 1 over 2 plus square root of 3 over 2 multiplied by I. So this is the real part, or the real term, and this is the imaginary part or the imaginary term. Then z squared equals conjugate of z. So what I'm gonna do here is, this is z. I saw it where? In a few minutes here. This is z, and this is z. Where? I saw it here. It's the same thing, but here z to the power 2, and here conjugate of z. So first of all, I want to find z squared. I know z equals this as a given, so negative 1 over 2 plus square root of 3 over 2i. Now here this is z, but he wants us to find z squared, so this is z squared. Now this is perfect square. The rule says the first term squared. So it will be the square of negative will be positive. The square of 1 is still 1 over the square of a 2 here must be 4. And the rule says this here, the plus or the positive first term multiplied by the second term multiplied by 2. This is first term, which is what? Which is negative 1 over 2 multiplied by the second term. This is the second term, square root of 3 over 2 multiplied by I multiplied by 2. This is the rule. Perfect square. First one squared. This is first one squared. First term multiplied by second term multiplied by 2. Now, always plus or positive the second term squared. So the square root of 3, it will be 3 over the square of 2, it will be 4, and the square of I will be I squared. And we decided to delete I here and change the sign of the coefficient of I squared. Okay, now 1 over 4 still out of solve, and this here what inside the bracket, this is what inside the bracket. Okay, so here this is 2, I can cancel it with this 2, still what? Still plus negative 1 over 2 multiplied by square root of 3 multiplied by I, close the bracket, negative 3 over 4. Now, this is a real number, and this is a real number, okay? So, what about, this is 1, okay, by the way. 1 over 4, and this is here negative 3 over 4. Collect them together, okay? And this is plus, still a plus. Here, the denominator here must be 1. So negative 1 multiplied by square root of I, it will be negative square root of 3 multiplied by I over 2 multiplied by 1, it will be 2. Now, here, the denominators here are the same, so write one of them. And 1 negative 3, it will be negative 2, okay? Plus, here, I'm sorry, we have negative. Now, negative multiply positive, it will be negative and 3, square root of 3 multiplied by I over 2, still out of solve. Now, I can cancel this with this. It will be, this is 1 and this is 2. So, 1 over 2, this is negative here. Negative square root of 3i over 2. This is what? This is z squared. Now, let us find the conjugate of z here. And we know that z equals negative 1 over 2 plus the square root of 3 over 2i. So the conjugate of z, this is z, and the conjugate of this z equals, the real number is still out of solve without any changing. And here just change the imaginary part sign. This is the imaginary part because we have here I. So without putting here positive, it will be what? Negative square root of 3 over 2 multiplied by. So this is the conjugate of z. So let us, or by comparing this by this, are they the same? Yeah, sure, they are the same. Negative 1 over 2, and we have here negative 1 over 2. And we have here negative a square root of 3i over 2, and we have here negative square root of 3i over 2. So yeah, z squared equals the conjugate of z. It's true here.